of, for me, I used to like, oh, go hiking with friends, you know, and all of a sudden I'm not hiking. I couldn't do the mountains, I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. And so, in tennis, that went away, you know, um, it kind of, you're like, oh, so you lose that friend that came along with the tennis or or the hiking, you don't see them as much because
Right.
that was your routine. So that's
Those
how.
those were painful moments then.
Yes, yes. And I've never been one to sit out on the sideline. And I think that personality who ends up getting a chronic illness, that is really difficult to deal with. If your former life was, big or large, or, you know, you enjoyed it, you
Active,
were in your
active, and right, and doing a number of things.
mm-hmm.
Okay, a tip or strategy, a point to keep in mind for someone who's dealing with this, or they know someone dealing with that. What helped you navigate that? Because that's you said readjust. That's a huge readjustment that some people will need to make. How did you do it?
Well, through my personal growth commitment, it really came first. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that part of it came first because if I wasn't thinking right and if I wasn't feeling good on the
Mm-hmm.
inside, my whole my whole existence with chronic illness is going to be a drag. I mean, it's just going to be, you
True.
know, I'm not going to be invited places. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Right. Yeah.
knew that I didn't want to be defined by it.
You didn't want to be defined by the illness
Yes.
and the limitations that it would put on you.
hmm hmm And I mean, you know, today I still go up and down depending on where, what's
Right.
flaring. And, a lot of times I have to back out of things, but I've made it a priority in my life right now that I'm doing this coaching business. And
Mhm.
that everything revolves around that, right?
Yeah.
So my energy that I need to conserve, you know, um, and even if I'm not feeling all that well, I can surely sit on the phone and take someone through a coaching session. I
Wow.
mean, and what that does is it also helps me. It takes me for that hour outside
Yeah.
of my illness. I
Got it.
I'm not thinking about it. And
Yeah.
we need those breaks where we're
Yeah.
not constantly thinking of our illness, right?
Telling you that.
And
I'm going to ask you this, and then you can tell me what you think about it because you posted it.
okay.
Resting is not laziness; it's medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That was a post from June 7th. You wrote that,
Yep.
and in the comments, you wrote this: rest isn't about being lazy; it's restorative and necessary for your health and well-being. Not getting enough rest can negatively affect your mood, immune system, memory, and stress level.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give these words, which I think should be a t-shirt some kind of way. Take a nap midday or meditate. It does the body good. I'm telling you, that's a book or something. That's a t-shirt. You need to hashtag that. Take a nap.
Yeah, take
Take
a
it.
nap.
Take a nap. Coach L or Coach Laura or something like that.
Right.
You need to do that. I like that. These words that you posted for all of social media proved to be something that meant something to you. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You posted it. But
Right.
why should others care about this encouraging post?
Because there's no doubt that it can affect them and their ability to heal, right? So it's like taking your medicine, just like your protocol and your drops or your tinctures or whatever your protocol is. It should be part of that. It's that essential part of taking care of yourself. I used to never be an afternoon napper, and I still don't necessarily nap,
Uh,
but
I'm sorry. I just can't see you taking a nap, but I just can't.
no, but
You,
you know what
somebody would have to force you to take a nap. They would like coerce you or seduce you into a nap because you go like, no, I got so much I got to do. Go ahead.
I know, but what I've done, and I've posted some things about it in my stories. that I think is a phenomenal tool for people who, like me, don't, want to, are kind of a little bit busy. But I break in the day.
Wait, first of all, no, I want to interview your husband and family because that's not true. You're not kind of bit busy. You're the kind of person that keeps going till you're exhausted.
I
So,
work really hard, and
see,
I can if I'm really into something, like when I was doing my website, I was super focused. But my husband also would come in and I'd be working for 3 hours and he goes, "You haven't had that kind of focus in years." So I wasn't able, I mean, physically able to do that. So when I'm able, I love, to
yeah.
stay focused on something. But what I'm using right now, which I find, I'm hoping that I can get a discount code I've written into the company because I love this. It's called Brain Tap. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't
Okay,
know.
so I wish I had it sitting right here. I could show you, but it's a headset,
The
and
one with the lights?
yes, and then you
Yes.
drop the
Okay. I thought that's
visor.
what, yeah. I thought that's
Yes.
what you're talking about.
So
Yeah.
you listen to the meditation.
Hmm.
You're also getting the energy from the red light in your
Hmm.
ears, in your eyes. It is so beneficial. You don't have you could fall asleep, you might fall asleep, but it's like 30 minutes and you're doing nothing. So what we know, or what, through what I've learned as a coach and having been coached, is that how we show up in one area of our life is how we show up everywhere, right? And it might
Right.
be look different. And I think that, when we look at, oh, I'm doing all I can, I'm focusing on my self-care, I'm using the no word, like we focus on one thing and we
Hmm.
forget that there's a whole other array of areas of our life, and if three of them aren't attended to, you're still not what I call in the flow, right?
Right.
And we
Right.
get in the flow of life where things feel effortless, life feels good. You're making choices that are healthy for you, and you're not worrying
Hmm.
about what other people are thinking or saying about you, because you're so confident in, what you need and who you are, that, those, if you're stuck on and you want respect from somebody's disrespecting you, you know
The ability to support other people in what you do is awesome, but giving them emotional support, that can be hard to come by, and people can feel like they're still struggling alone,
Mhm.
even when they're not getting enough encouragement or empathy from their mate, from family members, and others who think they need to just get over it. What
Mhm.
do you tell those people?
Well, a support group is crucial, to be able, um, to speak with like-minded people. And what I say is, don't expect your friends to give you the empathetic support that you deserve. Don't
Wow.
expect it.
Don't
You know,
expect it.
no. And I did expect it for a while, and I wanted them, to, if they said, "Oh, how are you doing today?" that was about as much as I got out of them, right?
Wow.
you know and I just learned, like, they just see me as a different person. They don't see me as sick, right?
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So
Mm.
I had to stop expecting
Hmm.
things. And so that's why, why a life coach is an option, because your thoughts are being directed, and you have an empathetic person who's not just telling you like what a friend would tell you, like,
Hmm.
oh, well, it's okay, well, it could be worse. Those kinds of things don't really help you, right? Or,
No.
oh, that's all
Mm.
right, you'll get better, it'll happen. This is just like, it's just blah blah blah, right, to a
Hmm.
chronic illness person. But as a coach or someone who is, who is trained to, bounce ideas and ask powerful questions to you, you start seeing yourself fully. You stop seeing yourself through the eyes of those people who don't understand your illness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're always experiencing no one, understanding you, you're starting to feel very lonely and isolated because of that. So, when you can gain that inside confidence and strength within you, having unturned, and I like to say, the life coaching process, what we do is we mine. So we dig for gold, right?
Right.
Everybody
Okay.
comes in, they're like a diamond in the rough. And,
Okay.
When they come out, they're like a diamond,
Okay.
right?
Got it.
We mine it, we go back, we find out where they develop these ideas. And, that's where I think, they can start helping themselves, right?
They can find a way to make their existence joyful and meaningful and full of hope if they're willing to do the digging, if they're willing to be excavators and polish themselves up. I think I just lost you there for a second. We'll no doubt get her back momentarily. She'll come back. But I do want to remind everyone, please, to make sure that you go to Laura's page. Hold on one second. Laura's page, I'll tell you what that is. That's her Instagram page is Laura, ENZORLIFE, COACH. In other words, Laura Inzer Life Coach. Make sure that you check out her page. Whatever you do, make sure you connect and contact her and connect with her. What I'm going to do right now is we're going to take a commercial break and we'll come right back in just a moment. Thank you, everyone, for being here.